Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Canadian Football Central, CFL content for the fans, by the fans, and we have our Week 10 review here. A lot of interesting stuff happening this week, with a lot of major ramifications moving forward in weeks to follow. Got a lot of good stuff here, so make sure you leave a like on the video, share it around, subscribe, and if you can hit that notification bell, please do that. Helps out the channel a ton, and it would also just make me happy. And I like to be happy. I hope you'd like to make me happy too. Now, one person who isn't happy is Rick because of the way that his team performed this week, but that will
listen, hold up.
Oh.
I'm okay to take that L, but let's just put it this way. I would honestly hate to be the command center right now.
Oh yeah. And speaking of
after this first game.
Speaking of hating to be the command center, Saskatchewan and Ottawa tie 22-22. When is the last time this happened? Because it's been a few years, I think, since we've gotten a straight tie, isn't it?
Here's the thing. Because
it's like Jamie, pull that up, you know?
I watched most of this game. So after the first quarter, 0-0. Yeah. Then it was second quarter, 3-3. 3-0 going into halftime, talking about paint drying a couple of weeks ago. Then it was a 7-3. The interesting stuff happened in the fourth quarter. Keep in mind, Drew Brown did get injured. So then Dustin Crum came in.
Yeah. I have the stats here pulled up on the tie, by the way. This is the first CFL tie since 2017. It has been 7 years since the last tie in the CFL, because it is very hard to get a tie in the sense of that surely someone wins in overtime, but that just was not the case. Although it certainly seemed like that based on some circumstances by the command center here. And it's funny because if you look at it, this was also the first time Saskatchewan's been involved in a tie since 2009, 15 years ago. So it's big CFL history being made this week.
The interesting note, I'm just trying to look for it because I know I took a...
Because this is the game everyone's talking about.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
But the interesting fact was, because I can't find it right now, of course, is going up until, I want to say 4 minutes left, maybe 6 minutes left in the fourth.
Yeah.
Shea Patterson only had 189 yards, 3 interceptions. Up until like the last 6 or 7 minutes of this game. And then something happened in that last little bit. And then Shea Patterson threw the touchdown. Dustin Crum got the touchdown. Then it went into overtime. Keep in mind, both teams did get... what? So I'm just trying to think here. Okay, so... they got... Okay, so I'm just trying to think how they did this here. So they each got a touchdown. Hold on, I gotta look at that. Because looking at that, they did wrong.
So you're wondering what exactly happened in overtime?
Because they got a touchdown.
They'd each gotten a field goal.
No. So Saskatchewan won the coin toss.
Yeah.
Ottawa got the touchdown, but missed the 2-point convert. Because if you get a touchdown in overtime, you have to go for a 2-point convert.
That's correct. But both teams have gotten field goals before then.
So same thing happened with...
Is that right?
No, you have it backwards. So
get the field goal
Saskatchewan went on offense. They got the touchdown and missed the 2-point convert. Yep. Then Saskatchewan went on offense the second overtime. Then they got the field goal.
Yeah.
And then after how everything ended is that Ottawa got the field goal. Keep in mind, those people that watched it had Corey Mace not challenged that pass interference, Ottawa would have won this game in regular time.
It's absolutely wild.
And then the command center goes and overturns that, and Saskatchewan would have won this in overtime. But then it ended in a 2-2 draw.
This is so crazy. It's one of those things where, like, this is one of those games where, okay, so hold on a second. Let me see here. Am I looking at, because Ottawa got the first possession, right?
Yes, they did, because Saskatchewan won the coin toss.
So yeah, because I have it here that I'm looking on the CFL website, and they had gotten the field goal before they went for the touchdown.
Are you looking at the highlights or are you looking at the overtime?
I'm looking at the play-by-play on the CFL website.
Okay, you got to start at the bottom.
Oh, you start at the bottom. Okay, no, I'm okay.
Yeah, you start at the bottom and you work way up.
Okay. I thought it went the opposite. Okay, no, then that's right then. Yeah, they would get the touchdown, miss the 2-point conversion. Saskatchewan, they would do the same thing, and then Ottawa makes the field goal, and then Saskatchewan gets one of their own. This is wild. I mean,
keep in mind that Drew Brown only went 6 for 9 for 55 yards.
Yeah.
He got injured. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Dustin Crum comes in 21 for 32, 211 yards, 1 interception. Yeah. Neither quarterback threw a touchdown.
Well, and you know what's crazy to me? Shea Patterson, 49 attempts. Absolutely ridiculous.
That's almost like Jake Mayer numbers.
That's worse than Jake Mayer numbers. Jake Mayer numbers were like between 42 and 45 passes a game. This is worse than that. This is 49. Yeah, now he almost goes for 300 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Not what you're liking there. Hickson can't get the running game going in this game for Saskatchewan. They struggle there with 12 rushes, only 23 yards there, 1.9 average. Just not what you're looking for. Meyer is able to get 101 yards receiving and then a touchdown for Sean Bain Jr. as well as Samuel MLS. I am speaking that incorrectly. And Brett Lothar, 3 for 3 on the night. Not bad for him. And then Lewis Ward would go 5 for 7. So a lot of kicking over there on the Ottawa side of things.
Keep in mind, 9 of those Shea Patterson attempts were in overtime. So technically, it would have been 30 of 40.
He still tried to throw it. It was still part of the game.
No, I know. I'm just saying.
Yes, it is in extra time. That's correct.
Now, also, just one thing. Dante Myers, some guy that comes. I've never heard of him before. That's why I'm calling him some guy. 8 for 9 for 101 yards. Way to make your name.
I was about to say, like, I was aware of who this guy is, but not really that much about him other than the fact that he's a depth piece that Saskatchewan has. I'm sure there's a lot of Saskatchewan fans that know probably a lot more about him. And now one thing I will say, didn't know much about his name before tonight. Know a lot more now. And so definitely going to be keeping a closer eye on him. And just another weapon that Saskatchewan has that will be very good for them moving into the future. Dustin Crum, 72 yards rushing. That's a key thing for the night. He grabs himself a rushing touchdown. Dustin Crum throws 1 interception. The rushing touchdown kind of negates that, so good stuff there. Armstead, not really able to get anything going either. Both running backs just struggling in this game. 13 rushes, only 37 yards, 2.8, so a bit better than Hickson, but still really not able to get what he'd like. Dominic Rhymes, 72 yards, leading the Red Blacks here, but with just kind of overall not being able to get the passing game going crazy. It doesn't really allow the Red Blacks to break away that you would hope that they would. It's one of those things where I'm curious to see if Drew Brown stays healthy in this game, how exactly that works out for Saskatchewan in the long run in this game. Now, obviously, we have a lot of news that we'll be talking about in the preview for Ottawa this coming week, and trust me, there is a lot to talk about for that. We'll have a lot of fun with that, so make sure you guys check that out when that is out. But if we're looking here, like, let's look at the defensive side of things. Top tacklers of the game over on the Ottawa Redblacks side of things. Lamont with 8 tackles, 6 for Webb, 5 for Pickett. He grabs a sack as well. 5 for McGee. He grabs an interception as well. And then there would also be an interception for Santos Knox and for Ade. So some decent defensive play there on the Ottawa side for those mentioned. And then on the Saskatchewan side of things, Auclair with 9 tackles, 8 for Henderson and 7 for Marcus Sales. Then 6 for Milligan, as well as an interception for him. Johnson would pick up 4 tackles and a sack. And then there'd be a sack for Lacombo, Avery, Cox Jr., and Carney. So 5 sacks on the Saskatchewan side of things. Exactly what you want to see from your defense. Being able to get to be shut down and being able to get some good rushing, getting some good rushing on Drew Brown, on the quarterback. I'm stumbling over my words. I don't know what's going on here. But overall, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're the Riders defense, you keep the Red Blacks to 6 points or less in a quarter for the entirety of this game. I mean, seriously, like if we're looking at this, like the Saskatchewan Roughriders defense, okay? They give up a field goal in the second quarter, completely shut them out in the first, then give up a field goal and a single in the third, off of a punt. That single was there. Then the fourth quarter, they give up 2 field goals, one from 34 and one from 47. Overall, pretty solid job done by the Rider defense. Again, it's one of those things where it's like going into overtime, they had 13 points. That is it. But the offense is just really not able to get going for either team. And this was a nail biter to the end. I think we were talking about, Rick, about how this game was going to be very close. I did not anticipate a tie, but I did anticipate a under 1 score victory. And so pretty much everyone who did any sort of pick 'em on this game was wrong, unless you picked a tie, which I highly doubt you did, because, well, there hasn't been a tie in 7 years in the CFL, so you definitely did not. So pretty much everyone got this game wrong, and get to see a rare tie in the CFL. And so is there anything else we got to talk about with this game? I think we've spent a lot of time going through
Not on this game.
All right. Well, that will bring us into the next game of the week, which is the Calgary Stampeders dropping to the Toronto Argonauts. Toronto Argonauts with the victory 39-25 over the Stampeders. And overall,
Carter,
very much needed. Yeah.
there was a sighting in this game. Do you know what that sighting is?
Who's that sighting?
That was Julian Grant's kick return.
Janarian Grant?
Return.
Janarian Grant?
For a touchdown.
You mean Janarian Grant?
Yes.
He's not Julian Grant. He's my boy Janarian Grant. Janarian Grant with the kick return touchdown, because he's just punt return touchdown. You see, now you're screwing me. Now you're screwing me. This is your fault, Rick. Janarian Grant, absolutely fantastic. He has been all this year. I mean, as a Bomber fan, there's a lot of people surprised by how good Janarian Grant is doing. I'm not. I know he's that damn good. And overall, it just shows how special teams can make such a big difference here. Again, it's one of those things. Do the Argonauts still win this game regardless? Yes. But being able to get that kind of momentum is really, really key. And overall, the Argonauts put up 7 in the first quarter, drop 8 to to Calgary, as Calgary was able to get a single along with their touchdown over there. Then in the second quarter, Argonauts not able to put up anything, give up a touchdown though. Logan runs it in from 2 yards. Rene Paredes hits the PAT, and so they'd be trailing actually 15-7 going into halftime. And so they decide to take a little bit of inspiration from their opponents and storm back late in this game with 14 points in the third quarter. Absolutely nothing on the Calgary side of things to respond. And then in the fourth quarter, 10 points for the Stampeders, but 18 on the Argonauts side is going to be enough to put them into the point where they're able to get the victory. Nick Arbuckle plays this game 18 for 26. He gets 181 passing yards, an average of about 7 yards. Not terrible. 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Could be a lot worse. Kadeem Carey, 13 rushes, able to get himself 89 yards. Decent game for him. Touchdown as well to boot. And then if we're looking on the receiving side of things, Polk kind of out of nowhere, 50 receiving yards as well as 1 touchdown. So good performance from him. Definitely a little bit of a breakout game because, I mean, like, I haven't seen this guy's name. Have you seen this guy's name before, Rick?
I've seen him.
Polk? I mean, you'll be more familiar with the Argonauts with you living in Hamilton and whatnot, but
I've seen him a few times in like the 3rd or 4th yardage in a few games.
But I mean, like, I don't think I've ever seen him leading the team in receiving yards in a game.
I've seen like 1 or 2 games this year where he was.
Really? Has he? Okay. Well,
but shoot, that just shows that some games they don't get many passing yards either.
And that's the thing. It's one of those things where I also, we live and learn, my friends. That's how we learn about these guys. And so, overall, again, great game for the Argonauts in general. And then Haralahu able to go 3 for 3. Rick's looking at me like, ooh, he said his name properly. That's right, Lyram Haralahu. So, I'm proud of myself for being able to pronounce that. Longest kick at 45 yards. Again, able to have some consistency back there, which is funny. I mean, they lost Boris Beatty, who is, seemingly consistency, but I mean, he hasn't been consistency over in Edmonton, but we'll get to that later. Rene Paredes goes 1 for 2, longest 33 yards. Rare miss from Rene Paredes. Are you able to see exactly where he missed from?
Yep. Give me 1 second.
Let me take a look here because I should be able to. I don't see here.
33.
Because he had missed 1. If we look onto the defensive side of things, top tacklers of the game for the Calgary Stampeders, Demario Houston leading the team, 5 tackles in the secondary, as well as 1 interception, as Demario Houston often does. Then if we're looking on, we have Sanders with 5 tackles as well, and 1 forced fumble and a recovery. And then Cameron Judge, 4 tackles for him. And overall, they would be the majority of the brunt on the defensive side of things, but there would be a fumble recovery as well as a sack for Coatney, in addition to his 1 tackle that he got on that game. So that was kind of the defensive kind of stars for the Calgary Stampeders. If we're looking on the Toronto Argonauts side of things, defensively, Mechie able to grab himself 7 tackles. 7 tackles as well for Sopik. And then 6 tackles and 1 sack for Priester. 5 tackles for Jones. 4 for Pierce, as well as 4 for Franklin with a fumble recovery, as well for 4 for McFadden, and then for Ormalad, he was able to grab himself a sack as well as a fumble recovery, and Holly would also grab himself a sack. So overall, a lot of defensive contributors here on the Argonauts being able to.
The Paredes missed field goal was 35 yards.
35 yards? Wow. So,
and also, after talking with some Argo fans,
yeah,
we have something in common.
And that is?
Our hate for Andre Pruitt.
Well, you can extend that past the Toronto Argonauts, and you can include them Bomber fans in there with you, as we are not a fan of Andre Pruitt either. Although, I'm going to be honest, it seems like the entire league is starting to go on against Andre Pruitt, as this man calls some of the weakest crap I've ever seen. Honestly, you know who should hire Andre Pruitt? I think the NBA would really love this guy. If they're looking for a guy to call absolutely nothing.
Or NHL?
Call absolutely well, the NBA is worse than the NHL at that. The NHL is not great, but the NBA is much worse in terms of soft BS. Usually the problem with the refs in the NHL are goaltender interference and then not calling certain things. In the NBA, it's calling too many things and calling weak.
Or just send them up to the NFL. Send them down south to the NFL.
Yeah, no, I just have them somewhere else. UFL, if you want them, you can have an. You guys can have them.
Jake Muir doing Jake Muir things. 373 yards.
Also known as 45 pass attempts a game, thrown 33 of them, 373 yards. So, I mean, he's able to get the yards, but 1 touchdown, 1 interception, not bad overall. But this looked a little bit more like a Jake Mayer game of old in terms of just throwing that ball constantly. And so I think it's really important. Like Logan, able to pick up 61 yards, but you got to establish that run game a little bit more than that, I think.
You know what the interesting thing is looking at the quarterback stats.
Yep.
Out of the top 6. Okay, and I'm going to name the top 6, but I won't mention what I was going to say. Mitchell, 1. Adams, 2.
Yep.
Mayer, 3.
Okay.
Collaros, 4. Bethel Thompson, 5. Drew Brown, 6. Out of those 6, who do you think has the better completion percentage?
Completion percentage? Can you name them again? Let me think.
Mitchell, Adams, Jake Mayer, Collaros, Bethel Thompson, Drew Brown.
Is it Drew Brown?
It's Jake Mayer. 71.9%. 71.9%.
What's Drew Brown sitting at?
65.7.
Oh, yeah, no. We had discussed this with Shane on 13th Man Sports on the Ottawa video. Check that out. Link to that is... It's on the channel. It's not in the description. But
And
it's on the channel.
My whole point to this was the reason why I brought that up is because how much we crap on Jake Mayer. He has the 3rd most passing yards.
Although, to be honest, I don't know if I crap on Jake Mayer that much. I most of the time I'm not crapping on Jake Mayer. It's just that I'll just say he's just kind of mid in the sense of like you'll see some really good games from like it's just inconsistency. Inconsistency from Jake Mayer is kind of a constant. And it's not me saying he's a bad quarterback. I don't even think he's incapable of being a great quarterback. It's just something's not there. And I don't know if that something is maybe some real quality receivers that they're able to go to. I don't know if it's an offensive line in front of them to give them a bit more time in the pocket to just kind of I don't know, get a bit more yardage. I don't know what it is, but it's just a lot of times it just seems like it's fine, you know. But it's interesting how the
only difference between his numbers and Adams' numbers is Adams has an extra 100 yards. They both have 14 touchdowns, but Jake Mayer has 1 more interception.
Yeah. Also, in prior years, it feels like Jake Mayer has thrown a lot more picks. I mean, last year he was leading the league in picks. So there's also just going to be a lot of just kind of impressions that people have on him from years past. So, you know, fair enough. But overall, I think that's pretty much all we have in that game. 39-25 victory for the Toronto Argonauts. Shall we move on to the next one here, Rick? I'm sure you'd like to.
We shall.
Which is going to be the Montreal Alouettes defeating...
The dumpster fire of the week.
Dumpster fire! The Alouettes defeating the Hamilton Ticats by a score of 33-23. Rick, floor is yours.
Carter, let me ask you this before I get into my floor.
Go for it.
What are the chances of us having not 1 turnover, not 2, but 3 turnovers straight in our first 3 possessions?
Here's the question. Did you trade for Nick Dembski?
Hold on. Did you know Sankey was one of our receivers? Because the interception that Bo threw right to him, there was no player around. He just threw it straight to him.
I think I saw that one. I think me and Zach saw that one on TSN the other day after we were like just on highlights after we had finished streaming the Elks Lions game. I was like, what in God's name was that? I don't know what he was doing there, man.
And not only that,
this was a rough
so
game for Levi Mitchell.
The 3rd turnover, David Bear, center, decides to throw it over Powell's head, 17 yards back for a safety.
So just bad snap?
Yeah, but it went like over his head and went into the end zone, and then he fell on it, and
I'm not gonna lie. As a former center in high school myself, I know that feeling. It sucks. It sucks so bad when you have a bad snap like that, because I have made that mistake. I have the over the head of the quarterback snap. Yeah, that's happened before. It's not something you see at the professional level, but just kind of shows these guys, they're human. That center, he's gotta get over that, because it just sucks.
Not only that, but your team Can you guys please take back all of your penalties? Because I'm sick and tired of...
Take back our penalties? I don't know if they've ever left.
all the penalties.
I was about to say,
offside.
If you want to have a bunch of procedure penalties, I'm sure.
Oh, that's basically... We had 11
if you want procedure penalties, I think Jeff Gray is still on the market. In the free agency.
I mean, we had procedure after procedure, offside, time count violation, and it's just like, oh my god. Soon as Saturday's game, Bo went 3 for 4, 25 yards, 1 interception. Then you get all the people, why did Bo get pulled? What's going on? And then you see Scott Melanige's presser, and my lord, this guy got thrown under the bus and ran over multiple times. But before I progress, Taylor Powell, 30 for 38, 319 yards, 2 touchdowns.
No interceptions.
No interceptions. On top of that, he has 5 carries for 552 yards. And he had almost
rushing
300
as James Butler would have 9 rushes and only 40 yards.
But those carries were basically on scrambles.
Fair enough.
So he almost has 270 all-purpose yards. And Carter, do you remember us having this discussion a few weeks ago about Bridges and Wilson?
Yes, I do.
Well, Bridges had a Wilson game for 103 yards off of 8 out of 9 receptions.
So
good stuff. And also, we have a flea flicker sighting as well in this game. I wasn't expecting that flea flicker.
I'm a big fan of the flea flicker. It's a fun play.
I mean,
you'd have Stephen Dunbar, who would run for 1 touchdown, 6 receptions, 63 yards, and then 1 for
Luther Hakunavanu.
Hakunavanu, right? Hakunavanu, I think that's how you pronounce it. I'm bad with names, but not the worst. But that'll be 1 reception for 16 yards, touchdown for him. So made the most out of his 1 catch, that's for sure. Mark Leggio goes 3 for 4. Longest at only 30 yards. Do you know how long that one was that he missed? Can you check that?
Yes, I can.
Okay, and while you do that, we're going to look into the top tacklers of the game. Here on the Hamilton Tiger-Cats side of things, Wilson leading the team with tackles. He had 6, 5 for Talbert, and then 4 for Usher. He picked up a sack as well, 4 for Barlow. And that would be all pretty much your defensive tacklers there on the side of the Hamilton Tiger-Cats. Looking onto the Alouettes side of things. You'd have 7 for Sutton, 7 for Ruffin, Beverett, who would have 6 with a sack. Darnell Sankey with 6 and 1 interception. Of course, this is the one where Bo Levi Mitchell was seemingly just throwing to the wrong team with no receiver in sight. And then Cosby would also have 6 tackles, and then there'd be 4 tackles for Johnson with a sack, and then also 4 tackles for Ento. So overall, some good defensive performance here by those guys on the
Mark Leggio. Mark Leggio missed a 43-yarder.
Okay. You know what? It's not the most ideal, but at least it's 43. You know, it's not like Paredes one that was in the 30s.
So if you look at the receivers, after Rambo, and spoiler alert, we brought him up in our video with the Alouettes
flight deck. Which should be coming out either later today or the next day from when this video is going up. One of those two.
So I mentioned him. Then after you take him out, they mentioned Ferris. Take him out. Their 3rd highest receiver this week was Fletcher at 22 yards. It makes you wonder, besides Rambo, how they all scored their points. Because he had 124 yards off of 6 carries for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Just it looks like that ball was moving around quite a bit, though. Letcher Jr. gets a throw. Answe, Tyson Philbot, Dallaire, as well as Bahar. Again, good game for Bahar. We talked about that a lot with Alouette's flight deck. Again, check that video out. It should be on the channel either.
And keep in mind, Tyson Philpott did leave the game with an injury. I want to say it's an ankle because he was later seen in the game with a boot.
Yep. And then also three field goals for Maltos. His longest is 25 yards, so no long kicks for him, only short stuff. So good that he was able to get that. Furvius, again, one reception, 48 yards on that. Fletcher would go 22 yards on 2 receptions. And then again, Rambo, 124 yards on 6 receptions for 2 touchdowns for him. So very good performance for him. So overall, just a good performance by the Alouettes. And by Davis Alexander, again, 17 for 24. He'd get 247 yards, 10.3 on the average, and then 2 touchdowns with no interceptions. So another good game for Davis Alexander. Again, not one of those ones where he's throwing 400 yards, but just overall not really making much mistakes with the passing that he's getting. So solid performance for him. Is there anything else that we got here, Rick? Or
no, but my question going into the next game is, what the heck is going on?
Well, first of all, I want to thank everyone who came out to the live stream of this game. This was the Edmonton Elks defeating the BC Lions by a score of 33-16. We had live streamed this game. We appreciate all your guys' support. When it comes into this next weekend, we will be live streaming at least one game, as we will be live streaming Winnipeg at BC on Sunday. We might possibly be live streaming something before that. Definitely not on the Saturday, probably not the Friday, possibly the Thursday night game. I don't know, but there's no guarantees in regards to any of that. Now, if we're looking at this game was weird. So obviously, Jake Dolegala in for the Lions. Vernon Adams Jr. out until a minimum of the game against Winnipeg. That's the earliest he can possibly be back. We'll cover all that stuff in the preview, as Winnipeg was on their bye week this week. On the Edmonton Elks side of things, Trey Ford goes in there 6 for 6, 96 yards with an average of 16 per throw. Trey Ford's playing a good game. Now, Trey Ford, again, a big aspect of Trey Ford's game, as we've talked about very many times on the show here, is that Trey Ford is a quarterback that's going to scramble out of that pocket and he's going to make something. Whether he's going to be throwing that downfield on the run, whether he's going to run that ball forward. He doesn't slide as much as he probably should. He actually will just try to truck that through. Bit of a tough quarterback in that regard. But his kind of scrambling outside the pocket, it catches up with him a little bit here. As Trey Ford scrambles outside the pocket and he's rushed by two defensive linemen, goes to move upfield, looking to make a pass, and he holds onto that ball for way too long. He's got to throw that ball to the sidelines or take a slide. At the end of the day, he should just throw that ball away and not take the loss of yards. But he does not do that. And I can't remember who on the lines it was, basically goes through. Looks like he hits him with that in the head. He does not, though. If you watch this on the replay, he grabs Trey Ford on the shoulder. And so then you see Trey Ford's head kind of snap around. That's kind of why it looks like he got hit in the head, but he wasn't. He was pulled. He was hit and pulled on the shoulder. So no head contact from the impact with the player. Although it does look like he does get a little roughed up in terms of his impact just on the ground, on the turf, or the grass. I can't remember if they use turf or grass over at Commonwealth. But overall, one of those things where, I don't like blaming injuries on the players, but he should have thrown that ball away. Again, it's very unfortunate what happened to him, but that's just the reality of the situation. Lots of action here for Javon Lake. Edmonton definitely trying to capitalize on his performance the prior week. 21 rushes, lots of running here for the Elks. 97 yards, an average of 4.6 with a touchdown for him, so not terrible in terms of if you relate it to the amount of times he was rushing. So okay performance. McLeod Bethel-Thompson has to go in, only goes 14 for 28, just perfectly 50%. Not what you're looking for in that regard. 171 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. So not terrible there, but just you want some more completions than that. Again, big game for Tevin Jones. Tevin Jones was all over the score sheet here, and he would go 6 receptions, 123 yards. Curly Gittens Jr., who would pick up 70 yards on 6 receptions. And then 37 yards for Javon Leake, who is also getting some passes into the flats. He was able to do a decent amount there. Dakota Prukop, completely money in short yardage. He picks up a touchdown as well. And then if we look at kicking here, Boris Beatty, 3 for 4, as long as the 51. Now, can you tell me where his miss was from, Rick?
Boris
Hey,
Beatty,
Jamie,
yeah.
can you pull that up? You know, like Joe Rogan. So, but if you could do that, that'd be awesome. Looking onto the defensive side of things, top tacklers of the game here over for the Edmonton Elks. Morgan led the team with 7, as well as Moncrief with 7 as well. Gray would have 6, and then 4 for Anderson. And then there would be 3 tackles for Sean Oakman, but he grabs himself a sack, and then a sack for Curtis as well. So some good defensive performance by those guys. Then on the DC Lions side of things, top tacklers of the game, Lee would lead it with 8 tackles. There'd be 6 for Ellie, 5 for Ragumba, and then 4 for Peters, 4 for Varga, and then there would be a sack for Tahuma, who, as I remember, that was quite a big sack. 1 for Covington, who just completely ran over Trey Ford. Or McLeod Bethel Thompson. I can't remember who it was in at the time. And then there'd be 1 interception thrown to Evans. And so that was some good defensive performances from the Lions.
Boris Beatty missed a 38.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't good.
But he got a single out of it. But, so here's the interesting thing. If you're Edmonton moving forward, Kevin Brown, I think... Let me just pull it up. I think he's on the... Is he on the injured list? Yes, he is.
Read out the Edmonton Elks injury list right now.
Give me 1 second. Let me pull it up. Because the reason why I bring this up is because when Kevin Brown comes back, do you have a 1-2 punch or do you move on and keep Javon Leake as your starter?
I don't know. This is difficult. I really like Javon Leake, but I think maybe a 1-2 punch would be good. See where that goes. If Kevin Brown's not able to keep up and they're not able to do much with him, maybe you move on. But
okay, so
Kevin Brown had a really strong season last year, and so it's definitely, you can't just completely ignore that.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. What? Hamilton has lucked out because Winnipeg has 14, Toronto has 13, Edmonton has 13, Montreal has 12. We only have 8 people on our injured list. That's it.
Let me see.
So you have Kevin Brown, Romeo McKnight.
Is he on the 6th game, Kevin Brown, or?
And Arkell Smith.
Is he on the 6th
3?
Is Kevin Brown on the 6th game?
I was just going to answer the question.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Those 3
Yep.
are all on the 1 game.
Ah, okay, I see. My apologies.
Then you have Sam Akshapung, Antonio Alfano, Vincent Forbes, Tanner Green, Scott Hunter, Thomas Jack Cordley, Marcus Lewis, Keonre Moore, which I completely forgot that Keonre Moore was even on the team. Jacob Plamdon and Joshua Shakel are all on the 6th game.
I see. So overall, because if I'm looking here, one of the things that seem really interesting about this game, and me and Rick, I think me and Rick were pretty happy about this. We get into halftime, and I'm like, hey, Rick, we don't have to worry about a strictly kicking game. We actually get to see some offense here, as they were able to get a rushing touchdown with the Lions that were able to grab one. There'd be a single by the Elks, as again, that was Boris Beatty, who missed the 38-yard field goal. Sean White gets himself a field goal, and then there'd be 2 rushing touchdowns in the second quarter with Javon Leake and then Dakota Prukop as well. There'd be then a single as well as a field goal. So strong performance from the Elks in the first half here. And for a lot of this, they were just able to ride most of that out. Third quarter, unfortunately, not able to put up anything. They give up 6 points in the third, but in the fourth quarter, they're able to kind of come back a bit with a passing touchdown for Rankin, 17 yards. from McLeod Bethel Thompson, and then they go for the 2-point conversion to Mitchell, which they have to repeat like 3 times, I think, as Edmonton took a penalty. Edmonton took a penalty on the first one, then BC took a penalty on the next one. Then they went for it on the 3rd attempt, and they did get the 2-point conversion. And then Boris Beattie would hit a 30-yard field goal, and that would be that for this game. Is there anything else you got there, Rick?
Nope.
That's all I pretty much had. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. Make sure you guys leave a like and subscribe if you have not already. I really hope you have. I asked politely at the start of the video. And hit the notification bell if you haven't already, again, because I asked nicely. Again, I have to reiterate these things sometimes. That's just the way it goes, though.
Carter's just happy that his team didn't win, but didn't lose at the same time this week.
I was about to say, I'm not happy that my team didn't win. I'm happy we didn't lose. And actually, you know what I'm more happy about, Rick? We didn't have more guys get injured. so yay for healing.
You know what the interesting thing is, though?
What?
The sad thing is, from Edmonton at 5th with 4, you guys at 6, Calgary at 8, and BC at 10, you could move down from each spot by the other team winning.
Well, we could also move up. That's the thing. We could go up as easily as we could go down, as right now the West is completely wide open. Right now, we are dealing with the Wild West. That is how it is in the CFL. My goodness, it is anyone's game.
It makes listen to this. So, Calgary plays Ottawa. You guys play BC. Hamilton plays us. Saskatchewan plays Montreal.
Mm-hmm.
Could you imagine Calgary losing, Winnipeg winning gets in 3rd, and then Saskatchewan...
And that would mean BC then goes to 5-5 if BC loses, because that'd be a Winnipeg win.
And Calgary has beat BC, so BC would actually be in 3rd.
No, they would not. No, they would not, because BC is right now 5-4. BC would drop to 5-5. Calgary, you're saying Calgary
is beat. No,
if Calgary lost, they would then drop to 4-6.
Oh yeah,
still be 2 points behind the Lions.
I was gonna say,
but they would tie with Winnipeg, which meant that Winnipeg would then go into 3rd. Calgary would drop down to 4th. BC would still be sitting in 2nd. However, if BC lost after that, because they would have lost the series with Winnipeg and Calgary, they would drop from 2nd down to 4th. So it just shows how insane this West is right now. And with Edmonton being such a wild card, I mean, they're last in the West, but they're on a heater right now, 2 straight wins. And, you know, it depends if they're able to get Trey Ford back and they're able to then keep rolling with that and able to have some success. It is a crazy season for the West Division, and this will probably come down to the wire.
See, when we're doing our season prediction, just one last note here. When we were doing our season predictions at the beginning of the year, I made note that the West was going to be a lot closer than what the East is.
Well, I was saying it was going to be closer than prior years as well.
Because the East, yeah, there's 3 teams in it.
Because prior to this year, it was Winnipeg and BC that owned the West, and then 3rd place was fought between Calgary and Saskatchewan, and no one can take Edmonton seriously.
Wouldn't this be a bold prediction if 2 out of those 3 teams from 3rd to 4th go on some like ridiculous tear, and Saskatchewan or BC misses the playoffs?
Man, right now BC looks like they're in trouble. As it's not even just the offense not being able to get stuff done with Jake Dolagala, but their defense is not being that impressive either. And so we will have to see, though. And we'll make sure.
But that is all I have.
We'll make sure to cover the preview of this next week, coming out soon, whether that's in a day, 2 days from whenever this video goes up. We'll make sure to have it done before Thursday's game. So make sure you guys tune into that one. That's available. We'll be having also our mid-season report card video with Alouettes Flight Tech be coming out at some point. That was a lot of good conversation in there. So if you're an Alouettes fan or even just a CFL fan, please check that out. Lots of good stuff there. I promise you will not regret it. And that's all we got here, folks. So make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. I asked you all these other times, so I hope you have. Peace, love, and positivity, ladies and gentlemen. And I'll see you guys next time.